Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings. We generally like to talk a lot of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general, and in this video we're going to be talking about our top 10 cooperative games. And when we talk about cooperative games, we're talking about games where all the players are striving to reach a common goal. We're not talking about one versus all games, or games where you've got a dungeon master or a games master, or even hidden traitor games, because they're not fully cooperative games. We're talking about games where everyone is trying to fulfill the same goal, right? So remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down there, and we'll see you after this. Bollocks. So number 10 on this list is a game called Folklore The Affliction. This is a GM-less or DM-less, if you're AD&D freak, and you'll be working your way through a series of chapters, leveling up your characters, fulfilling quests, and working your way through the large campaign. This game is sometimes unfairly compared to Gloomhaven in the sense that you've got sort of a world map and you'll be travelling around that and then going off to a smaller map and doing stuff. For me, this game is a little bit more accessible because it's not as long as Gloomhaven. There's not 120, 200 hours of gameplay. There's about 13 hours of gameplay, and it is replayable. I'm not saying Gloomhaven isn't replayable, but I played this more than I've played Gloomhaven because I can go through this solo and it's a lot more manageable. But Gloomhaven, we started playing that with several players, and it's very difficult to get those players to come back and carry on with those characters. And I know you can jump in and out, but it just didn't seem fair on the people that got so far and then couldn't make it to the next session, right? So Folklore The Affliction comes with some really crappy standees, but you can swap them out for some more expensive miniatures. But it's a very, very good alternative to Gloomhaven if Gloomhaven is that little bit too much and too long for you, you know what I mean? So number 9 on this list is a game called Mechs vs Minions. This is a game that was based around a video game concept called League of Legends. I have no idea what that is all about. I stopped playing video games in 2006, never looked back. But essentially, this is a programmable game. I suppose the closest thing you could compare this to is something like Robo Rally, where you'll be deciding what you want to do in one phase of the game and then you'll implement your decisions in another phase. One thing that makes this different is that as you're progressing your way through the game, you're going to be unlocking different things via envelopes, and they're going to add extra rules to the game and extra stuff. And this game's production quality is one of the best we've ever seen. This was released for about €70, and the quality of the components is something that you'd see in maybe a $200 Kickstarter game, you know. So it's a fun cooperative game. The programming can get a little bit, dare I say it, dull, but it's one of the best looking games we've ever played, and I am shallow like that, so fuck you. So the next game on this list is Flashpoint Fire Rescue. In this game you'll be taking the role of different firefighters, each with their own special ability, and you'll be delving headlong into different scenarios, trying to put out fires, rescue survivors and all that sort of stuff. There's loads of expansions. Actually, I've got one here somewhere. Where is it? Yeah, the Tragic Events expansion, actually based on my life story. But yeah, you've got loads of expansions, loads of different maps for these. I think we've got more or less everything to do with Flashpoint Fire Rescue. One of the big draws for me with this game is that my children really do like to play this game, and the fact that there is a basic game that even my 4-year-old can play with a few prompts, obviously, then this game is going to continue to be in my collection for quite a long time, until my kids decide that they don't want to play board games anymore and they want to start snorting cocaine. So number 7 on this list is a game that is complete and utter chaos. It's Space Cadets, a game designed by Jeff Engelstein. Yeah, Jeff Engelstein. One of the things we don't like about this, get this out of the way, is that the component quality in this game is shocking. It's complete and utter dog shit, right? In Space Cadets, you'll each be taking the role of a person on a spaceship. Everyone will have their own different station, and each station will have its own mini game that it needs to play in order to fulfill a certain role when you're maybe firing weapons or targeting or moving through the universe or whatever you want to do. One of the things we don't like about this game is the fact that it is a complete and utter bastard to teach. There's so many different stations, and if somebody doesn't really understand what they're meant to do, then the game can fall apart. But this does provide some of the best laughs for a cooperative experience that you can get. If you can get past the pretty steep learning curve for all the players, and you do need to play this with a full complement of players, by the way, then I can't recommend Space Cadets highly enough. It is pure chaos in a cardboard box. Number 6 on this list is a game by Vlada Chvátil. It is Space Alert. Too many space games, right? So this is another programming game. What you'll be doing, you'll be taking the role of somebody on the deck of a spaceship, and you'll be playing along to a CD soundtrack, or these days probably some sort of MP3 soundtrack or something like that, right? The soundtrack will throw at you at different points in the game different threats that you need to take care of, and you'll be playing cards into a timeline as quickly as you possibly can, and then once the soundtrack is finished, then you'll go back and you'll resolve all the cards that you played, most of them being complete and utter fuck-ups, right? This game, it only lasts for about 10 minutes all in all, so you can go back and play it again, which is one of the draws of this game. But on the flip side of that, the rulebook is complete and utter garbage. There's 2 rulebooks. There's a tutorial, which really doesn't help with getting you through the complexities of this game, and then you've got the rulebook itself, which again, it may as well be written in some kind of ancient alien language, right? The best thing you can do for this game is go and watch one of the tutorials online, and we've had a complete blast with this. With a lot of Vlada Chvátil games, it does try and make out as if it's more complex than it needs to be, but yeah, it's a wild ride into the mind of a complete and utter board game nutcase. So the next game on this list is a game by Antoine Bowser of Seven Wonders fame. It's not Seven Wonders, obviously, because that's not Cooperative, but it is Ghost Stories. In Ghost Stories, you'll take the role of one of, I think it's a Shaolin monk or something, and you'll be essentially trying to defend a village from a bunch of ghosts, right? The thing that makes this unique is that the tiles that make up the village are going to be changing from game to game, so there's a lot of replayability here. And another thing that makes this special for us is that it's so bloody hard. It's not a Castle Panic style easy ride. This is a very, very difficult game that a lot of people do find frustrating. But if you can get over that hump and you can just let the stones fall where they may, then Ghost Stories is a truly innovative and wonderful cooperative game that you should play today. So number 4 on this list is a game by Michael Menzel, the geezer who drew all the artwork for games like Stone Age and Pillars of the Earth and all that sort of crap. Right, it's Legends of Andal. This is now a trilogy. There's a couple of mini expansions like the Star Shield and the Dark Heroes that adds a little bit more stuff, but essentially what you'll be doing, this game is based around what's called Legends, which is decks of cards that will basically hold your hand and teach you the game as you play through it. That is a good thing and a bad thing, because sometimes when you go back to this game, you're going to have to pull those cards out again and relearn the game through these cards. There's not really a rule book, so to speak, and some people criticise this game for being a little bit too clunky and robotic. It does have a sort of a pandemic style feel to it in a weird sort of way. But having said that, Legends of Andal is a wonderfully deep campaign. If you've got the time to go through the Journeys in the North expansion and the Last Hope expansion, if you throw in all the extra characters, there's a ton of replayability with this one, and it truly is epic in scale. Not Twilight Imperium epic in that sense, but the scope of the game and the way that it weaves its way through the narrative is just a wonderful, wonderful experience, right? Number 3 on this list is a game that replaced Arkham Horror for us. Yes, you guessed it. It's Eldritch Horror. When we first saw this game, we were like, oh, for fuck's sake, we ain't going to touch that with a 10-foot barge pole, right? Because Arkham Horror, it was the quintessential Lovecraftian game that everybody would go to, but we took a punt on it and we dumped all of our Arkham Horror stuff, which I now regret because it is sort of sought after, right? And we got Eldritch Horror because it was sort of bloat free, right? And now, so many years on, I know it's finished, no, they're not making any more, it is now got as much bloat as Arkham Horror, but the game is simplified, it flows better, seems to be a bit more theme in this one, and I think there's just that little bit more content that anchors the locations and the characters down into something that's just a little bit more cohesive. And yeah, we love Eldritch Horror. We've been playing this one since the day it come out, and we still haven't gone through all the cards. That is how much stuff is in the box. I mean, the Mythos cards deck is now as thick as a doorstep sandwich, right? But Eldritch Horror, I haven't played the Arkham Horror 3rd edition. I don't really feel that I need to, because this one will be staying in our collection until the day I die. Number 2 on this list is a game that we've only beaten once ever since it was first released. I think it was 2012, something like that. It's Robinson Crusoe Adventures on the Cursed Island. In this game, you'll be castaways on a desert island, and you'll be trying to survive long enough to fulfill the requirements of the various scenarios that are included in the box, right? You might have to just maybe light a fire to signal to a ship. You've got the King Kong scenario in this one. You've got the Swiss Family Robinson, and there's also a Voyage of the Beagle expansion, and there's another expansion which we haven't played, right? The thing I love about this game is it is fucking brutal. Ignacy Trzewiczek has designed something that pulls no punches. He doesn't give a monkey's fuck whether you die miserably on his island or whether you survive, right? There's this wonderful mechanism where you'll be pulling these event cards out of these various decks, and you'll have the option of deferring the pain and agony to a later date, but that pain and agony is going to be amplified to the power of 10,000, right? You'll be shuffling those cards back into the deck, and they will come out at some point, but you don't know when they're going to come out. You're going to have to build palisades. You're going to have to build a roof over your shelter. You're going to have to fight wild beasts all the time, trying to provide food for all of the survivors. It plays wonderful in a solo capacity because you can throw in the Friday and the dog characters to help prevent your penis from falling off through frostbite. But yeah, Robinson Crusoe, an absolutely unashamedly unabashed brutal experience that we love coming back to time and time again. So number 1 on this list is a cooperative game like no other. It blends the cooperative aspect and a real-time aspect and merges it into one big trifle that I like to get stuck into. It's Project Elite. In this game, you will be trying to defend your Space Marines facility from the onslaught of a horde of alien creatures. You've got aliens that are really, really fast. You've got aliens with guns. You've got aliens that bite. You've got big bad bosses in this one. And the thing that separates this from other real-time games like Escape Curse of the Temple is that after 2 minutes of your heart trying to push itself at your arsehole, you're going to get a bit of a respite to regroup, maybe swap your weapons around, take a breather, have a dump. The first edition of the game, which we've got, we haven't got the Cool Minion or Simon edition, the new reprint of this one. It does suffer from some really shockingly bad miniatures, but we don't care about that. This game is our favourite cooperative game at this minute in time. If you haven't played it, and if you do like cooperative experiences, Project Elite really, really should be on your Christmas list. In fact, if you ain't played it and you are a cooperative game fan, then you are a complete and utter dildo. So there you go, that's our top 10 cooperative games, not of all time, because time hasn't finished yet, I don't think. But yeah, as of this moment in time, right? So remember, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below. And we'll see you next time.